guys, so welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome to my channel. And as you can see, I've got a bit of a different setup today. I feel like I'm just like going around the different rooms, trialing the lighting, but to be honest, the main reason I'm sat here on my sofa is because I'm updating my whole office space, and that's where I'm going to be filming from, like obviously the future. So whilst that's undergoing, I just thought I'd best just sit down here today and film, because I think the lighting's better in this room. But I'm going to get into this video because, as you can see from the title, it's taken me 6 months to film this, obviously because I wanted to wait for the 6-month mark to show you what my nose looks like now. And if you're wondering what I'm on about with or you've just come across this video and you're thinking what's she going on about, I'll leave it up here. And that is my last video that I filmed because I had nose surgery. I had preservation rhinoplasty. And in that video you can see me before talking about why I wanted to have it done. You'll see me literally on the day going into surgery. You even see me have the surgery. Yes, it was filmed. And you'll see it after as well when I come out, and you honestly see me at my worst, like going through my recovery. And then 2 weeks later I show you myself with like makeup and how my nose looks then. But I look back at that video now and I'm like, oh my god, my nose looks so swollen. So I wanted to sit down today and just sort of tell you how I've been getting on with my recovery, obviously show you my nose now, and also answer all the questions that you guys have been asking me over on my Instagram, which is @allchloerose. So a lot of the questions you've been asking me are kind of like the same, so I will cover them all and hopefully cover anything else that you want to know. And if I haven't covered anything, then please do let me know in the comments below, because you guys left such lovely comments and it was so nice and like rewarding to see on my last video. So yeah, I'm happy to be open and honest about it all, and I'm completely happy to share my whole journey. So just a little disclaimer, I think I did say this in my last video, it must have been in the description box, but I am not promoting surgery, I'm not pushing it on anyone. Everyone has their mixed opinions about surgery, but this is something that honestly bothered me for so long. Since I was a young age, I've been looking into getting this done, and I'm so happy to be 6 months on now and just be so happy with my results, have my confidence, and generally just have happiness as well. So yeah, it's just a little, I just wanted to put it out there that I'm not pushing this on anyone. If you are looking in to have it, hopefully this video will help, and obviously my previous video, which I'll link down below as well. So in my other video, I filmed it 2 weeks after my surgery, which is amazing because you'll be able to see in the video I didn't have any like bruising or anything like that. Obviously my nose was swollen, but I feel like now 6 months on, I probably can't, they say it takes 6 to 12 months for your nose to properly settle and the swelling to go, but I honestly feel like, to me, the swelling has subsided. I'll come up close so you can see. So in the other video I felt it was just more like swollen here around the edges, like on the side bit, sorry, whereas now you can see my nose has just come a bit smaller to my face. It looks a bit more like chiseled, and it has just settled into my face a lot more. From the side, the tip is where I had most of my work done, because that's where my nose did droop before. So he's put all the, sorry I say he, it's Dario Rashira, amazing surgeon. I'll link him down below, and obviously where I had it done, which was the private clinic, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So Dario lifted my tip and put all structure in here. So before it was very, very hard, whereas now it's like, it feels a bit softer, a bit looser, and my tip has dropped a little bit since you'll see on my last video. But I still love it now because I feel like it just looks a bit more in shape with my face, and he kind of like overcompensated it before to lift it higher for then when the swelling comes down and everything sort of settles into my face for it to sit properly. I've still got the slope here, which I absolutely love, but one of the things that I've found recently is this side of my face, like this side profile, I love. However, this side seems to look a little bit different, and that is because here, obviously you can't see it in the camera, it's just a matter of touching it. I have scar tissue here, and it's just like in the tip of my nose, which was probably expected because that's where I had so much work done. I say so much work, but he spent so much time on it. I was in the surgery, the theatre, for 3 to 4 hours, I think it was, which it wasn't expected to be that long. It's just because with preservation rhinoplasty, you don't cut open your nose, so he works inside the nostrils. So, and because my nose wasn't really big before, it was like a small nose and it was like intricate work, so it was a lot more like work for him to do, so it obviously took longer. Anyway, I'm going off track. The reason I've got scar tissue here is obviously because of that, and that is completely normal. I've had a few checkups with Dario since, which is so nice. Like, it's so nice to go back and see him, and the fact that it's just been so one-on-one and personal with him as well. But he basically reassured me it's normal to have scar tissue. Obviously my nose, I keep forgetting it's 6 months on. I feel like it was ages ago now, but it is still recovering, and if it doesn't go in the next 6 months, then you can have, basically he said you can put an injection in it and it just sort of dissolves it. But for now, what I do every night is I just sort of like try and massage in. It kind of, he explained it as like a little bit like cement, where you just have to like push it and like rub it around. And also in the past 6 months that I've been doing as well, like every night I'd be going like this, and it sounds weird, but it's like massaging my nose, and that was to get like all the retention and swelling out of it. And I feel like that did actually really help. When you see your nose every day, obviously you don't see a massive difference, but when I look back to the video from then and I look now, like obviously my nose has become less swollen and does look a lot more like in shape with my face and smaller here, which is exactly what I wanted. Aside, I'm honestly so happy with my results. I absolutely love the shape of my nose now. I just feel like it really sits well with my face, and it kind of looks like I was meant to be born this way, if that's a weird thing to say. But yeah, I'm so happy. I've got so much confidence back with it, and obviously because I'm always filming, I'm always on social media, I'm shooting a lot, so it is like a forefront of my job to always be under the camera and like, I guess, under the microscope, and that is why it was another reason I wanted it done. But the other reason that I wanted it done is because I had a deviated septum, and I spoke about this in my last video. I couldn't breathe down the one side of my nose. However, now I can breathe perfectly fine, which is amazing, and I haven't got ill, touch wood, since. I used to always get sinusitis and I'd get ill a lot, and the doctor would always say it's because you can't breathe down one side of your nose, it gets infected and things like that. So far so good. And as soon as I woke up from surgery, like obviously you wake up from the anaesthetic and you're all like a bit delirious, I was like, I had like nose packs in, obviously it just been like completely like battered and broken, had a nose pack on, everything, and I was like, oh my god, I can breathe, like I can breathe properly. So that is obviously another factor that I'm really happy about, the fact that I can breathe properly, and obviously the look of it as well. But a lot of you guys have been asking me questions, like I said, over on Instagram, so I'm going to answer them as well, and hopefully this will cover everything sort of to do with my recovery phase. Okay, so the first question is, were you worried the doctor would have a different interpretation of what you wanted? And I think this is such a good question. So my surgeon was Dr. Dario Rashira. I'll leave his details below, and I couldn't recommend him enough. He is amazing. So as soon as I went for my consultation with him, he just completely knew what I wanted. And I've been for many consultations before, because as I said, this is something I'd been like looking into have for a while. And I'd go to other consultations and I'd be like, oh, I've got like a bump on my nose and I want to change this or whatever, and they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. Whereas I went to see him and I told him the exact same thing, and he was like, no, he was like, you don't have a bump on your nose. And he sat me down and he was like, look, and he pushed the tip of my nose up. And in my last video you'll see how my tip was, that it was so squidgy and I could like, it was like dipped down. He pushed it up and he was like, the fact is you have no structure in the tip of your nose, which makes it look like you've got a bump or it's like hooked over. And he also explained like how it was too big here, which is what I wanted changing as well. And he also said how it was coming across a bit like it was a bit crooked. So everything that I wanted, he hit the nail on the head with. So that just put me at ease straight away. And then he also showed me on the computer, he took a picture of me, and then he sort of played around like on the Photoshop and said like, this is how I would do this, and I would change this and I'd move this or whatever, and sort of gave me like a before and an after photo. And the after photo was literally exactly how I wanted my nose to look, because I know it sounds silly, but there is so many different nose shapes and like different ways your nose can look. Obviously everyone has a different interpretation of it, but mine was that I wanted it smaller and I wanted that slope effect, and that is exactly what he's given me. So he has been amazing. Like, he just knew exactly what to do, and the whole team where I had it done at the private clinic was so nice throughout the whole like journey of my surgery as well, from beginning to start. And like, I still speak to them now, like I've been going for checkups, and it's just lovely to see them. So I honestly couldn't recommend them enough. If you are looking to have rhinoplasty, I would check them out. But like I said before, I had preservation rhinoplasty, which is a new sort of procedure. He's been doing it for a while, so I've already seen results that he had done and I loved it. But obviously with having a new procedure, you're a bit skeptical, but I just had my full trust in him. So with preservation rhinoplasty, you basically don't cut open your nose, which you do in other rhinoplasty surgeries. It's just all completely through your nostrils. So he works from inside my nose to change the outside, if that makes sense. And obviously he changed a bit inside because he straightened up my nose and made me be able to breathe again. So even though it was a new procedure, like I said, I still had my full trust in him, and I don't even think I had one slight worry that it wasn't going to look how I wanted to, and I'm so happy now with the results. So he just got it spot on. The next question is, how many weeks was it until you could go out in public without people being able to tell? So to be honest, I can't like pinpoint this, because if you'll see in my last video, I had my nose pack on, and it was when I got I had my cast on, sorry, when I had my nose packs out, which was I think like 3 or 4 days after. I actually went out for brunch, but I just wore like a hat and sort of tried to cover my face, and obviously there were so many people staring at me. But like to actually go out straight after I had my cast on, I think was probably the wrong decision. I went to an event literally that evening, and I still had a bit of bruising here, and like I tried to cover it up with makeup, but I could still see people sort of like looking at me and thought, has she got in a fight or something, like she got a black eye. And I feel like I should have just sort of stayed home for a few days, like got used to my nose myself. But because of like the way I am, I was like, oh my god, I want to get out. Like I hated being cooped up, so I just wanted to get on with my usual life. And then the day after that, I went up to Manchester and I went to another event. So maybe I did take it too quick, too soon. But I think without people being able to tell, it wasn't long, because with preservation rhinoplasty, it's such less downtime. You would be able to see my video before, like my bruising and my swelling was half as bad as I've seen other people's. Obviously I had it, but I'd say the last bit I had like a bruise, I had mainly bruising on the right side, and that just stayed there. It went a bit like yellowish like it normally does, and that stayed there, I'd say like two and a half weeks after. And then I flew to LA 3 weeks later, and I was absolutely fine. Like no one could have even knew that I had a nose job. And I was scared of flying, because they say you probably shouldn't fly that soon because of the air pressure and stuff, but I was actually fine. I'm just one of those people that just like want to get on with it. So I don't think people could tell within like I'd say 3 weeks later. Okay, so somebody has asked, did you have flu-like symptoms? I had my nose done a month ago and still don't feel great. So I actually feel like I feel a bit nasally today, but that's probably just because I'm getting a cold, because the weather's actually turning colder here in the UK. Winter is on its way, guys. But yeah, I did have flu-like symptoms, and I think it's just the fact that you feel like you've got sort of like a head cold, like you feel a bit like nasally, like snotty. Like it sounds really gross, but I'd have to blow my nose all the time. Like I always had like dry bogies and like dry blood and stuff up there, so I always had to sort of like clean it, and I'd just get like cotton bud with hot salt water and just sort of like soothe it in there and try and like get everything out, because obviously there is all stuff still stuck up there, so you are going to feel like congested and a bit of like a cold. But it was more just like a head cold rather than like flu symptoms. I didn't really get a headache or anything like that. Obviously when I first got out of surgery, them 3 days were the worst, and I look back now and I was like crying, like why have I done this, like it hurts. But it's normal, like you've just got out of surgery, you've had a major work done on the middle of your face, of course it's going to hurt, and it's just felt achy and like pain. But those 3 days are nothing compared to like the long scheme of it, because I would go through that again if I could, to have the nose I have now and just the confidence and happiness I have. So I would say it just lasted for a few weeks really, and like even now I feel like I do have to still blow my nose. Okay, so the next question is, at what month did you see the biggest difference? And I think this is hard to pinpoint, because you see yourself every day in the mirror, you're constantly looking at yourself. It's like when you go on like a diet, or you're looking at changing something, like you look at yourself every day, so you're like, oh, there's no results. But I actually did start to see them, like when I said to you, I was like massaging it out, and I saw my nose was not getting smaller in essence, obviously it was just the swelling going away. And then I started to see the tip of my nose drop, I would say like a month after. Because he overcompensated it, I was like, oh my god, I was freaking out. I was like, is it going to completely drop and go back to how it was? And you obviously have these little bit of a freak outs at some point. I used to have dreams, like nightmares, like my nose would go back to how it was, or like someone would like knock it. I feel like I've gone off topic there, but at what month I saw the biggest difference, I'd probably say it was the 3-month mark. And that was for me where I felt like a lot of the swelling had gone. I obviously had no bruising or anything. I got rid of the bruising within like 2.5 weeks. But yeah, I think that's when I started to see my nose sort of take shape and like settle into my face a lot more. This question is kind of the same. How long after did you notice the swelling had gone down? So the swelling was starting to go down pretty quickly. As I said before, preservation rhinoplasty, you have a lot less downtime, a lot less bruising, and I felt like it did go down a lot. Like when I was in LA the 3 weeks after, I felt like it started to like go down then, but now when I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, it does look a little bit swollen to how it is now. So I probably, like I said before, I think the 3-month mark for me was where I really started to feel like my nose was taking shape to my face. Okay, so someone to ask, how much did it cost? So preservation rhinoplasty, obviously I had it done at the private clinic, so I'm going to leave their details below, so you can have a look on the website for their different costs and their price list. And also, if you are looking at getting done, I suggest to just have a consultation, because every surgery procedure is different for everyone. Because if you were looking to get rhinoplasty, you might not be able to get preservation rhinoplasty because it might not be the right fit for how you want or your nose. So every kind of one is different, so it's hard to just put a price on it, to be honest. I would say if you're looking at getting it, then look at down below, and obviously you can get in touch with the private clinic. And the last question, how much did your swelling reduce between the cast coming off and 6 months after? So obviously it's 6 months after now. This is my nose, and I'll try put pictures up on the screen to show you sort of like the process of my nose from straight after surgery and sort of how I've been getting on the past few months. But as you can see, I do feel like a lot of the swelling has gone now. You don't see the final results till 12 months after. So hopefully I can do an updated video then for you guys and see if there will be any changes. But at the minute, I'm really happy with it. I feel like most of the swelling has gone. And yeah, this is my nose now. Yeah, so I feel like I've answered most of the questions there. A lot of them were the same, so I didn't want to go into every single one because I feel like I've covered it. But if I haven't covered anything and you've got any questions for me, I am so happy to answer them. So just put them in the comments below and I'll get back to you guys. But it's been so nice to see the response that you guys left me on the last video. It was really rewarding and it made me feel a lot better about putting this out there. So thank you for that. And hopefully you'll be able to see my next video, which will be in the next 6 months, in the 12-month mark time. So you'll be able to see the final results of my nose, but obviously you'll be able to see me sort of going through it all over on my Instagram anyway, which is @allchloe_rose, so you can follow me there. But please like this video, obviously if you did like it, and hopefully it helped you if you're looking at getting it done, or you just want to do some research, or just generally being a bit nosy and want to see my updates. But please hit subscribe, as I'd love you to continue watching, and hopefully you'll be able to see the video in 6 months time when I do my updated one. But until next time guys, I will see you then.